Okay, so this is gonna be my favorite part, by the way. Just I'm a little biased, so I apologize. So we've got to see the texts, and we got to see the paintings. Now we get to hear the music, the tradition of the Ethiopian Orthodox Father Church. So today we have the opportunity to hear from Liqetebet Tekle. Liqetebet is his title. His name is Tekle. He is a scholar of ancient Christian music, having spent over 20 years perfecting the traditional Ethiopian music known as Yaradwi. He is certified in 3 disciplines of education, which is really an exceptional level, even within the tradition. He's known for the school of Zema, Dibgwa, and Akwakwan, each equivalent to earning a degree, like a PhD or something. Tekle also completed a theology degree at St. Paul Seminary and is currently pursuing a master's in Christian counseling. Beyond his academic achievements, Tekle is the founder of Day2 Tekle Academy, where he teaches traditional Ethiopian music. Through this academy, Tekle has played a crucial role in preserving an endangered music of Yaradwi. We also have his student and kind of my student. I don't know if he's still claiming, but Jonathan Dawit. He is he was born here, but he's really kind of taken up this Zema and is going to be the future of Tekle. So they'll present together on Yaradwi, and I'll give their voice.
The camera is going to. You want to sit down? If you like to stand. Keep on going a bit further. If you get to the center. There.
I think they would need it, so I guess, yeah. I guess you guys will need to come here.
Sorry, we're just pulling up the PowerPoint, but
Okay.
want to thank you guys for the opportunity for letting us come here and share with you guys. We're just gonna do a little background on the hymns of Saint Yared. Specifically, we're gonna do a focus on the notation system, so that we can understand the way that people get familiarized with this ancient hymnody. So there are 4 primary compositions of Saint Yared. So I'm sorry, Saint Yared is the saint in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church who's believed to have composed the majority of the compositions in the church, as well as the melodies in the hymns. It's believed that he heard those hymns from the angels. And then God gave that as a gift to him to then use and to worship. And he taught it to us, and for children afterwards. These are the primary compositions that Saint Yared composed. The first one is called Dugwa. That's the primary one. The majority of the hymns that we will present to you guys today are going to be from there. The second one is called Miraf. The third one is called Zimmare, and the fourth one is called Moasit. There's a lot of details that go into it, but each one is used for different parts of services. Like I said, Dugwa is the primary one. Miraf is more of the intermission. Miraf means to rest, or it could also be chapter, depends. But it's used it's part of the chant. So you chant the Miraf, and then the Dugwa would be inserted in between, or vice versa, the Moasit. It's primary psalms. It's very heavy on psalms. Zimmare is the canticle that's used during Eucharist. And then Moasit is the hymnody used in funeral prayers and memorial. Saint Yared's hymns are primarily in 3 modes of melody. So the first one is called Ge'ez. The second one is called Izl, and the fourth one is called Ararai. The way that you differentiate them, essentially, it's like a grouping of melodies that all would fit into one category. We're gonna give. I know it might sound confusing now, but when we explain, you might start to understand it a little bit better. So there's specific types of chants that all sound very similar that would pertain to the giz mode, and then there's a certain types of chants that sound very similar pertain to the izl mode, and then there are certain various chants that would pertain to the ararai mode. Symbolically, it has a lot of symbolism to it, and primarily it's said that it symbolizes giz represents God the Father, iz represents God the Son, and ararai represents God the Holy Spirit. So this is where we talk about the notation system. So originally, there are 10 primary notations, and these are more like glyphs. So there's 10 of them. These symbols don't necessarily have melody in them, but they're more of glyphs that help guide you to chant the melody accordingly. These were the original notations that Saint Yared are believed to have created. 8 of them being the ones right here on the screen. So the first one being Difat, second one Hidet, third Inat, fourth Yizet, fifth Kurt, sixth Chirat, seventh Rikrik, and then eighth Deret. There were 2 later additions, and those being Durs and Anvir. I separated those because some do say that those were later additions. They weren't a part of the original symbols that Saint Yared created, primarily because they're letter notations. So Anvir and Durs, those are actual words. So like Anvir means like to rest. It's usually found at the end of a chant or a hymn. These are the first primary 10 notations. But like I said, the first 8, these are more like glyphs that help guide you during the chant. So they tell you how the chant is going to sound, and they guide you, but they don't necessarily tell you what the melody itself sounds like. The later notations that came in the church are called Sray Liqetebet, or those are letter notations. These notations are actual hymns that are used as standardized versions. I know that sounds a bit confusing, but as we show you guys the examples, it'll become more clear. The letter notations actually use words from specific chants, and then the way that melody sounds would then be used in other hymns, or you reference. It's more of a comparative system, essentially. So I think when we do the explanations, it'll make more sense. So we're going to show you a few examples of giz. Liqetebet Tekle is going to show us, since he is the scholar, and I'll be the teacher. These 2 chants right here are very similar. So we put them both together so you guys would understand how these notation systems work, and then how people are able to get familiar with this hymn system through the notation systems, through the letter notations, and also with the glyph notations. So he's gonna say the first one and then the second one up there. You guys try gripping, maybe? Let's try. You guys we can try and make it interactive. I know it might be hard, but don't worry. The words are
Next week.
ሱተኮነ
ምልክቱን ነው የምነግራቸው። ምልክቱ ላይ የነበረው አሁን ያደረጋቸውን ቅድም እዛ ላይ ሰዎች ብር ላይ ያለው የሚለው የዘር ምልክት ናቸው አይደል? ወይ ማለት ላይ ደግሞ የሚል አለ እየፈረበ ማለት። ስለዚህ ይህን ከነገርኳቸው በኋላ ወደ ሁለተኛ
So the meaning. Oh, okay, sorry. So this chant is actually from the composition that I referred to earlier called Dugwa. This is the chant that Saint Yared wrote for the feast of Cana of Galilee. The meaning is that which was obscured or hidden from us has now been revealed. He changed water to wine. Our Savior did a miracle in Cana of Galilee where there was a wedding. That's what the chant says. This is chant during the midnight praises of the holiday. But we were going to try and explain to you guys is the way that the symbols are. So if you guys look up here above this even right here, I don't know how familiar you all are with the alphabet. This symbol right here above the S, this right here is called a chat.
Yes.
So this is one of the glyphs that I was referring to. So it's not an alphabet, it's not a letter, it's just a sign, it's a symbol. It refers to you how the melody would sound when you sing it, but it doesn't tell you what the melody is. Then there's another symbol right here. This one says woo. This is a letter symbol. This one would tell you what the actual melody sounds like. So now you know this entire Nzasa wood, this right here, would be in sound similar to this symbol. This symbol right here, wu, refers to wei wa wu, which is the letter notation. It's referencing another chant, which is actually sung on the feast of Pashka. It's from a chant called Mazmur that Saint Yared wrote. So it's telling you that this melody would sound like this letter notation right here.
That means what is.
So do you guys see how it sounds similar?
Next, name.
ይበሉላቸው
So that's the
You guys-
similarity
you guys
that
get it?
you're driven.
So once you see that symbol, you would know to sing it in that way, right? That's what so or just the whole melody, right?
Sort of like into the tune of. Like when you
Into
have
the
that-
tune
yeah,
of this.
yes.
Exactly, that's
So if you've never saw this before, as long as you know this symbol and how that sounds like, you'll sing it to the tune of that which you
Exactly.
should already know.
exactly.
So does that mean that there are certain, like a small number of songs that are taught at the very beginning so that you'll be able to expand outward? Or does it matter what?
There's a
order?
stage, so depending on, he went to all the 3 schools, but depending on the school that you go to, they'll start you with, you know, the whatever stage that of song that is. In each one, there's what they call sere on top of it, which is
The letter notation.
this, like, let's say, right? When you come across that chant, it would say, know this word, know this melody, because we will use it for the future, right? So we call this sere. So this sere would be like, okay, if you know this, it will come up again. Then you need to think about the symbol ooh. So when you see, oh, okay, this was, I already learned this.
A lot of the primary letter notations, the basic ones that you're thinking of, or the ones that to answer your question, a lot of those are taught in the early stages. So when you go to the first school of melody, after you've learned Nibab bit, which is writing and reading, after you finish that school, when you go to Zema bit, a lot of the primary things you learn, for example, Wuddase Mariam, the praises of Virgin Mary, the one we were referring to earlier, when you learned that, a lot of the melodies in that are primary notes or notations or exactly. So you will find those later on in a lot of places. Since you already learned and mastered that, it makes the learning process a million times easier. And then so on and so forth with the other things you learn in that school. So that once
And the bonus is the teacher often will let you know.
Mhm.
So like, let's say, you know, you're going through and the Zema is not perfect, but when it gets to Sera, the main melodies, that's gonna come back. He'll let you know, no, you can't pass, and so you get this right because you'll see it over and over and over again.
Next.
A minute.
Wait, but
Next.
okay, so we're gonna do this next one. This one is in the same similar category. So also, if you notice, I also wanted to notice this right here. There's another symbol right here on both of these. This is a fidan right here called Ri. And what it's referring to is Angargari. That's the type of chant that this is. So let's say I'm familiar with this one, but I'm not familiar with this one at all. And I'm learning this new chant for the first time. Before I even look at these symbols before, I would just see this notation right here. This would tell me that this chant right here, where it says M, referring to Milkan, just a type of chant that Saint Yared wrote. This is all from Jidwa, like I said earlier. I would know the way this chant is most likely going to sound. Angargari is always in the Ge'ez mode. Most likely, it's always in the Ge'ez mode. So I would already have a sense of how this would go. You guys heard how this one sounded, and if you notice they're both the same, you might hear the similar sounds now. And you notice the symbols are also the same. There's the charat right here, the u is right here as well. You see the r, the anbir, the one I was referring to earlier. He's gonna do it. He's gonna say it now. We're gonna try and see.
One. Man
So this, like I said, is also same category of chants. This one though is sung for the feast of the Archangel Saint Michael. I'm sure you guys heard when we said Utu Mikael. I don't know if you guys heard that. Sounded familiar. The translation would be he who is Michael is the angel of power. He is the prince of the throne, to the throne of God. May he plead for us, may he be our helper in times of need. May he stretch out his wings and protect us, or shield us.
Another important point here is the way in which he's instructing us to repeat over and over again. That is how you learn it. There's no shortcuts. So when you go in, and what's really fascinating about the traditional school is you could think of how many students I sent Tamare at that.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there's about it changes in every school, but it could be as maximum as 500 students in one room. What's fascinating is each one is at different levels and chanting different things. And the teacher has this capability of hearing who messed up. And it's like, and you're hearing what we call the retrika or the zema. And if you miss one, then you'll stop. You'll repeat it, right? And there is no shortcut around it. You have to have a ability to hear very clearly, pay attention, and also, make sense who's studying what over here. And they're able to organize all this stuff while they're teaching. It's really a unique feature.
Just so we could see the notations again, just so you guys see the similarities. We see this one right here. This was the charat that I was referring to earlier. It's right here under w as well. And then you also see the u, which refers to wei, wo, wu. This is also the letter notation we were referring to earlier. It's also found here. And then you also see the anb here as well. And then you also see the yizet on A. There's also a yizet as well.
Next,
So those were all examples of the giz mode. So if you guys notice, it's a very strong tone. So now we're going to show you guys the isl mode. This one is going to be a bit sweeter, but it is a bit somber as well. Just give this one. It is. There it is. So this is an example of the isl mode. So this is an example of the isl mode. So right here it says isl. I'm just going to explain the translation for you guys just so you understand before he chants it. Hallelujah, of course. It's hallelujah. Saul arrives to the country of Damascus. And then it's essentially telling the story of St. Paul and how he arrived to the city of Damascus, and then the thunderbolt came. That's what it's recalling. That's what St. Yaddid is recalling here. And if you notice, there are a lot of okay, so this number right here is this 3. So this is indicating to you that it has 3 types of melodies, and you can tell based on so this right here, the way that these symbols are layered on top of each other also indicate that there are 3 different ways of chanting this. So each row, I guess, is one way of chanting it.
It is the first, second. Nasab.
So even just so this is referred to as the halleta. Halleta essentially is the hallelujah, the way that it's said. There's 3 different ways of saying it, 3 variations. All 3 ways are correct, just preference. And then he's going to say the rest.
Answer.
አንጸ ከሳውል ሀገረ ደማስቆ. So if you guys look here, we're gonna skip over the Halita. We're just gonna focus on this part. This is a bit more complicated. But as you guys can see here, there is a glyph notation right here. So this one right here is darat. So this is the one that I told you indicates you the way the melody should sound as you sing it, or it guides you. In the letter notation, this one right here says rayu. So this indicates that this word right here, altsaka, is a foundational notation. So it's telling you this right here is the foundation notation. So this is the way that, or essentially it's telling you, essentially you do have to know this one. You learn this one first, then understand the other ones. Other chants that sound similar to this, you'll see the kind of little true ones like that. Okay, you'll see that you'll see this reference in other chants, because this is the foundation right here. And then right here under sa, you see the gizat. So this tells you to hold there. And then right here you see so this one right here is the. So these both right here, this one and this one, these are both the glyph notations, the one that help guide you. And then over here you'll see charat, and then you'll see the anu.
So for example, here you have ansaka sawale, ansaka. You hold it, right? So that's what this dot is telling, hold it, right? And then you have here above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th letter here. This is charat. That's what it's telling you to pick it up. And this symbol here is telling you rest on it.
So if you notice the melody rests there.
So whenever you see that, for example, I don't know this, right? Hadiat, right? That's how it would end. This word here. I've never heard the chant before, but I can tell you Hadiat, that's how it ends. Right? Because it has the re. The minute I see the re, I know I need to rest. Never chanted it before, but I can tell you that because it has the re. Right? So this is how the musical tones work by reading the notes.
And this hymn is from the chants of Tsoma Dudgwa. So from Dudgwa, there is also a subsection called Tsoma Dudgwa. That's the Dudgwa section that's sung during the Great Fast, the Great Lent Fast. This is the ism that is sung on the first Sunday of the Great Lent. And this is one of the first things you learn when you go into Zemavit and you start learning Tsoma Dudgwa. So after you finish with Dasi Mariam and all of the basic chants, as you start to get into Dudgwa, this is one of the first things you learn. So that's why a lot of these, if we were to go through the entire thing, a lot of the parts of this hymn are foundational melodies that are referenced back in the more advanced parts. So when you originally start learning the melodies of Saint Yared, you get familiarized with these. So then so that later on, when you see the new chants, like Dawi just did with the Hatfiat right here, you'll be able to just read the notation and say, okay, I know how this one sounds. It's familiar from when I learned this earlier.
And actually the teacher will begin to tell you, try it, like without you chanting it, because if you spend enough time, you begin to recognize the symbols and you should sound it out, like the melodies. So he's like, try it, like you studied before, right? So he will start to make that connection for you. But Ararang?
So this is another example of the ism. So the one we just did earlier was ism. This one is also ism. This is one of the modes that we were speaking of, the 3 modes of melody, is ararai. So this one is also very similar to the one that we just did previously. It's saying just as Solomon said regarding Mary, come, let us be happy, and it keeps going on. It's usually sung during the months of Sige, or the season of flowers in the Orthodox Church.
Fall season.
The fall season, yeah. It's like October, November.
በከመይቤ ሰሎሞን
በከመይቤ ሰሎሞን
በከመይቤ
ሰሎሞን
ይገው
በከመይቤ ሰሎሞን
ተማርያም
Notice the R res symbol here. Mariam. Rest. Right? So whenever we see that, we rest.
በከመይቤ ሰሎሞን በእንተ ማርያም
እነሱን
Try and repeat. So the first words, በከመይቤ ሰሎሞን. So በከመይቤ ሰሎሞን በእንተ ማርያም በእንተ ማርያም. Y'all got it. So if you guys notice the symbols right here, so if you look here under the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th letter, you see the dot right here. This one helps. All these is the glyph ones. These help indicate. So if you notice the zema,
Hold. That's the hold symbol.
So these are the usets. These tell you to hold. So you know that you're holding on B, you know that you're holding on the no. And then when you get here, you see the so you see the n on n, there's a kurt. So that helps indicate the way the melody goes. And then you get here, you see the chanat under Mariam, and then there's the alif under mid, telling you to rest.
Mariam.
Mhm.
Just an interesting note on methodology of teaching. So if we were learning this, right, we would come here and the teacher would say something like, try it, because we've seen this before. You're like, I don't know. And then he will make you go back. And he's like, well, you see it, Hagara Damasqua. It's like a solid. How did you say it? Right?
Mhm.
So he'll quiz you. Instead of telling you,
How
okay,
it
let me
goes.
tell you again and again and again. You go back, but you learned it here. Look at this symbol. How did you hold sa, right? So once you're able to say it, he's like, okay, based on the same mode, go back and try it again, which is a really interesting way, again, going back to how we teach in a traditional school, getting the student to really kind of figure it out for himself, especially if he's able to do it.
And that is the goal, to understand the systems so well that you could literally open the book to any page and then start reading a chant that you've never read before. So this is going to be the examples for the Ararai mode. So this is a separate mode. So we did the Giz first. We just did the Iz, and now we're going to do the Ararai mode. This is from liturgy. So this is what is chanted after the reading of the Gospel of John. So on that day, the Gospel of John is selected to be read during the liturgy. This is what's chanted afterwards. Essentially, it's John 1:1. In the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God. That's what Saint Yared put here, our fathers put here. She's going to chant it for us, and then we're going to explain the notations.
ቀዳሚሁ
ቀዳሚሁ ቃለ እግዚአብሔር
ቀዳሚሁ
We're going to try and repeat it. Let's try and practice it together. So the first word, Adamihu Qal. Adamihu Qal. Adamihu Qal. ቃለ እግዚአብሔር
እዚህ ላይ እንድታስረዳችሁ የምፈልገው ምንድን ነው? በዜማ በምልክት ደረጃ ያሉት አንድ ተመሳሳይ ቢሆኑ በዜማቸው ግን ለምሳሌ የድጓ ዜማ ሲሆንና ቅዳሴ ዜማ ሲሆን ዝማሬ ዜማ ሲሆን የተለያየ ሳውንድ እንዳለው ነገራቸው።
So, like I said earlier, this chant is from, he reminded me something that's key to understand. So this chant is from liturgy. So in our church, the notations that you see here, a lot of these. So for example, I'm just going to skip ahead and go to this one right here. This one says leki right here. Leki. So this is referring to salam leki, which is from Wuddasi Maya, which is one of the first things that you learn. So it's telling you that the way that this is chanted is going to sound like salam leki. But this is in the Dasi bits.
Liturgy is Kadase.
So since this is the liturgy school, there might be a slight difference in the way that you learn it when you go to the liturgy school. It's the same melody, but there's going to be a slight difference. Another example is going to be right here on Zi'abihid. So the way that Zi'abihid might sound in the liturgy school might sound a little bit different compared to what it's going to sound like in the Zemavit or the Dugwa school when you learn it originally. So when you come to the liturgy school, you'll find a lot of the similar notations that you saw in the Zemavit. But in the liturgy, you might see some slight differences in the way that it's chanted. There might be a little bit more, you know, differentiations in the way that it's chanted.
So here, for example, on the first word, this is the symbol for 30. And then the way we would sing it is salasa. Everybody say salasa. So whenever you see this symbol, whatever word comes with it, you sing it the same way. Kadamihu, salasa. And then you see it again here. So this word is wi'etu. How do you think of sun? Wi'etu. Exactly. You see, you guys are already picking it up. Look at that. And then here you have Leki. He said, Salam aleki, salam aleki. You could that's one. See, he said I said it the wrong way. You do it the Kadasi way.
So there's two separate ways. So for example, this is the liturgy. So in the liturgy, this notation right here, the leki, it'd be salam aleki. What he said is the simpler version, the Zema bit or the Dugwa bit. So that one is a bit more simpler. Salam aleki.
Yes.
Whereas if you notice in the Kadasi or the liturgy, the school of liturgy, they add that extra salam aleki.
Notice how precise you have to be. Right? So it really, really does matter. Most of the people in liturgy, when people go, they hear it and they, you know, they kind of just pick it up along the way. But scholars like him, they will tell you exactly what note and notation it is. And they could tell you, you skip the darat, you skip the qurat, you know, you skip that part, right? So that's the ability between the 20 years of training. Yes. Right.
So this is another chant that's sung during liturgy. We're still in the Ararai section, just so you guys remember. This is what is said after if the Gospel of Luke is read. Who is like you, God, amongst the Amalek gods, oh Lord. That's what it's saying here.
All right, so this is for you guys again. Remember salasa, remember that one? This is the same symbol. The word is menu. How would you chant it?
Wow.
There you go.
That was good.
Manu
Manu Manu, let's try and repeat that. So Manu yimasalaka. Those are the first words. Manu yimasalaka. من أعمالك من أعمالك تجزي
فكر فكر.
Let's try it. من أعمالك تجزي So let's try it again. You guys remember this one, right? So how would it go? منو يمثلك. So we saw this one earlier on Kadami Wukan, right? So let's Kadami Wukan. It's the same, exact same notation. Manu يمثلك. So right here there's the yizet. So it's telling you to hold on le. Manu يمثلك. And then you know to end off on leki because it's under the last letter. Cut. So Manu يمثلك.
من أعمالك
من أعمالك
إذا سكن لك إذا سكن لك هيدا البلد.
So right here, if you look on this one right here, there's this notation here. This is one of the glyphs. This one is hidet. I don't think we referenced this one. Hidet tells you you're going to skip over this one quickly. So you don't really hold or pause on that at any time. So so you see you fly through it and then you continue to the rest. So on le right here, you see this fida. It's referring to That's the same chant as this right here. Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. So this tells you Amalek is going to sound like So this one right here, this is one of the letter notations that we were referring to. So this right here, and then it's like good, and then it's like good. That's what it's referring to right here. And then right here, you see the key. There's the key fida. So then it's like key. So this entire thing is all actually coming. It's all referring to the notes. They're all referencing the same chant. So right here on Z, 1, 2, 3, the third letter, you see this dot right here, the yizet. So it's telling you you're gonna hold on Z and then finish and with the same melody or sound as niblaki. So salam alaki, and then it's niblaki, exi or من أعمالك إنزل نساجد لبلاكي. So this is essentially how you would
ይህን ጥንታዊ ዜማ ለመማርና ለማጥናት ወይም ደግሞ ለመስማት ፈቃደኛ ስለሆናችሁ ከልብ አመሰግናለሁ።
He said, I thank you all for being willing to listen to this and to learn from this. And he said, thank you. And yes.
Since we talked about Ephraim and the Wadasi Mariam, is it possible maybe to sing a little something from the
Yes.
spiritual song?
Yes. That's him.
የመጀመሪያ ፈርስት
No.
ሌላ ተጨማሪ ታይም
So we'll do the Monday one, starting with the opening.
አዳም ተዙነ ወትኩዘ ልብ ወያግብኦ አበዘ መንበሩ ሰአሊለነ ቅድስት.
So that's the first stanza.
The 6
That's the first stanza.
days.
So this chant, can you guys guess which mode he just chanted in?
Getting it right.
Steve, you might listen to Steve, can I? Okay, Steve, might listen.
ለአዳም ዙነ ወትኩዘ ልብ ወያግብኦ አበዘ መንበሩ ሰአሊለነ ቅድስት.
Which mode do you think it is? Does that sound familiar?
ይመስላል.
Huh? The is close. Close.
You're always in chorus.
It's close. It's close. It's the ararai. So if you guys notice, it sounds very similar to the ones we just did. The kadamihu kalmanu imasala. من نبر عن سيجا من مساسر. ويعقب يمسلك. So you see the similarities there?
እንደዚህ ነው.
So
All the
first
6 days are sung with this mode, the Ararai mode.
From Monday to
So
Saturday.
the Wuddase Mariam, remember how we said it's split into the 7 days of the week. From Monday to Saturday, it's only in Ararai. And then on Sunday, it's in Iz.
አንድ ልበላቸው.
Yeah, this one's-
ሰሜቼ ረዝመባቸዋል በሰዓሮች.
So he's gonna do one of the Sunday, so you guys can hear the Iz of the melody.
በትረ እንተ ሰበሰት ዘንባዳ ተክል ወኢሰቃይዋ ማየ ከማቲኒ ኦ ወላዲተ ክርስቶስ አምላክነ ዘበአማን ዘእንበለ ዘእመጻወ ሰአሊለነ ቅድስት.
So that was from the Sunday chant. I was trying to see if I could find a similarity. If you got it, but outside, that's all I need to know.
አምላክነ ዘበአማን.
So that one right there, there's a section of that that sounds very similar to this right here.
አምላክነ ዘበአማን.
So that part from the Sunday, it's in the is Amlakina Aman
You said this earlier. Yes. What
This
is
is the is. This is the is.
So, but it just, there's a confusion, right? So the language is Ge'ez, and then when it comes to the music modes, there's a mode known as Ge'ez, a mode known as Ararai, a mode known as Iz, but the language is all Ge'ez.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a little bit, I think, some clarification perhaps.
That used to confuse me too as a child. Yeah. But so one of the parts that he just sang from the Wuddase Mariam is very similar to what the one of the chants that we just did earlier, the Al-Zakasal, the one speaking of Saul. So if you guys notice, if we were to have the book and show you guys on the Wuddase Mariam, it would be very similar notation above that section that he just chanted. and then this one as well.
የእንትን መጽሐፍ ታሳያቸው ጥሩ የለም በቃ ነገራቸው ቢያንስ ራሱ ይቻላል።
We were supposed to have a slide on this, but there is actually a book. Think, there's recently they've been able to make a book that has all of the notations written down. So it's like a reference book essentially for the notations. So it has every single notation that could pretty much exist, or at least there's a lot of notations. There's a lot of notations, but the primary ones, and at least most of the ones that are used in most of the other composition books and prayer books, there is a book called Arista Milikit, or the Arist.
Yeah.
Major.
Mhm. The
symbols,
major symbols or major titles or major letters.
So,
So it's called a chara.
Yeah.
በአማርኛ ይበሉት።
ይሄ ያው ጭራ ይባላል። ካውንት ወይም የቤተክርስቲያን አባቶች በአብዛኛው ይህንን ለብዙ ነገር ይጠቀሙበታል። ለእኛ መጥፎ ነገሮችን ለማባረር፣ ሁለተኛ ፀሐይ ሲሆን ለመከላከል እንደዛ ይጠቀሙበታል። በአባቶች ልክ አንድ መምህር ሲመረቅ ቁጭ ብሎ የሚያስተምር መሆኑ አንድ የሚረጋገጥበት ከመምህሩ ወይም ከትልልቅ ሰዎች ጭራ፣ ካባ፣ ቋሚያ፣ ተናጽል ይበረከትለታል። ስለዚህ መምህር የመሆኑ የክብር ልብስ ጋር የተያያዘ ነው ማለት ነው። ቅዱስ ዳዊት የተወሰደ ነው ነገራችን። ተነዛኒ ባዛ ወነዝ መዝሙር 50 ላይ ተነዛኒ አዛ በነጽ ጭራ ትረጨኛለህ የምነጻለሁ የሚለው
take out that reference from me, but so he's saying that in traditional schools, one of the things that sets apart the teacher from the students is when he receives his kaba, his dress attire. What you'll see on Friday, by the way, we're just kind of giving you like how music works today, but you get to hear the full music on Friday, hopefully. And you'll see them holding a mekwamia, which is like a I don't know how to translate it, but
Prayer staff.
a prayer staff. Thank you. And another one is the chara that he's holding. So this is kind of one of his uniform, if you will, as a teacher to set him apart from other students. Of course, there's practical purposes, with flies and things like that, that whip them away or to protect yourself from the sun or anything like that.
And it's from horsehair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Listen.
It is. Yeah. Psalms 50. Have mercy on me, Lord, according to your great mercy. There's a line that says, you shall sprinkle me with hyssop, which is, I believe, a type of that's tree, I believe.
A plant.
It's like a plant or a herb. So that's what it's based off of. Yeah.
All right. Other questions? All right. So that kind of gives you a gist of how the music works. I know most of the time people kind of hear it and walk away, but we want to give you kind of a glimpse of how it works, and that hopefully you've seen or appreciated more, at least when you hear it on Friday.
Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone, so that was the last presentation for today. The last thing that we will ask you to do are evaluations. So if you are online, please write in the chat. If you are in person, I will pass out these cards. Please write what worked well and what could use improvement.
While she's doing that, Jeremy, can you say where we're going? We're going in different places, or different cars?
Yeah, so we're heading to the Catholic University of America, and there we're going to the John Mullins Library.
John Mullins Library.
which you can, from the front doors, you can see the basilica. So if you're aiming at the basilica, you can kind of figure out where you ought to be.
I'm Mullen Library. Those people were going to the.